So in the verbal section of GMAT, I think today is our first class. In the verbal section of GMAT, now there are just two things that are asked in the exam. So one is critical reasoning, and then it's a reading comprehension. I think Shubham has given you a bit of details about reading comprehension. So it's a critical reasoning and reading comprehension. This is the technically the first class of verbal. We'll be starting with critical reasoning. But before we go ahead and start with critical reasoning, can any one of you tell me what exactly is the difference between CR and RC?
Like in CR, there is a short passage of 4 to 5 lines basically, and
Yeah.
we have to get the intentions of the author or by what is stated in the passage and the assumptions or weakness or boldface like that. In the RC, there will be a huge passage like of 100, 150 or 200 words, and we have to get the passage like the main idea of the passage and all the other things of the author, what is being trying to say.
You have just described me what is the structure of CR and RC. You didn't tell me what is the difference between CR and RC technically. So guys, anyone? So before we get into the topic, let's have some sort of a discussion because see, you will have 23 questions from verbal section, and there'll be 45 minutes to it. And out of these 23 questions, it is seen right now that there are 4 RC passes. For sure, this is something which is not compromised at all. If you do very bad in verbal, that's a place where you might get 3 RC passes for sure. But right now it is seen that 4 RC passes are coming in the exam, and there are 100% 3 questions each passes. So technically you will have almost 12 questions from RC for sure. And you'll have 11 questions from CR. The point is your accuracy in RC 100% depends on some sort of a CR for sure. Technically, you know what? CR section is considered to be one of the most trickiest section of entire GMAT exam. But why? So the point is you have to be extremely clear with what exactly critical reasoning is, what is reading comprehension. So can any one of you tell me again what is the difference between CR and RC? The question remains the same. Guys, please
In
speak it out. Yeah.
in RC, we are not questioning the information that is provided to us. In CR, we are analyzing it and
To
considering whether or
some
not it's
extent, I
logical.
would say 100% okay. But it's not about questioning in CR also, we don't question. So what happens in CR, guys, there's a small passage as said by, I think, Mang. So this a small passage is called as an argument. You don't call it as a passage. Be very sure. Calling a passage in CR is wrong. In CR, this a small passage is called as an argument. And in reading comprehension, this is no doubt a passage for sure. So please understand what happens in critical reasoning is that you are essentially trying to respond to the answer. So while you are answering the question in CR, while you are answering the questions in CR, you are essentially responding to the information that is given to you in the argument, not passage. Responding to information that's given to you in the argument. And in reading comprehension, what you are doing while answering the question? While answering the questions over here, you are accepting the information from the passage. From passage. So what exactly you mean by responding to the information and accepting the information? So please understand, while you are trying to respond to the information that is given to you in the passage, it might be extremely, all of you might come down to a situation where you understand argument very beautifully. Your understanding is extremely clear. But despite that, while you are marking the answer, you might 100% go wrong. Why will you go wrong? Because you are trying to essentially respond to the information that is given to you in the argument. And your response can be completely haywire. It might be completely out of scope. Completely. What happens in reading comprehension is that if your understanding of the passage is clear, if at all you have accepted the information well, there is an absolutely no ambiguity that why will you not get the answer right. So point with critical reasoning is that you might have a brilliant understanding of an argument, and despite that you might end up choosing a wrong answer. I'm not trying to say that you will end up choosing a wrong answer. You might end up choosing a wrong answer. But if your acceptance, if your understanding of the reading comprehension passage is clear, it's very very less chance that you will get the wrong answers wrong, because in reading comprehension for every question, you have to come back to the passage while you are answering the question. Remember that. You cannot just read the passage, go to the question and start taking answer by yourself. No. In reading comprehension for every particular question, except for the key ideas, that is the main point, or what the primary purpose of the passage, for every other questions, you have to come down to the passage, because in reading comprehension, location specific question is extremely important. If you do not locate the location as to where the question is asked from, it will be hard to mark the answer. And if your understanding of the passage is clear, if you can locate exactly the location as to where the question is being asked from, which part of the passage question is being asked from, it will be very easy for you to mark up the answer. That's a promise from my end. 100% I can tell you. But the challenge is in critical reasoning, guys. What happens here that you might have a very brilliant understanding of an argument, and despite that you might end up marking a wrong answer just for the reason because here you are trying to respond to the information that is given to you in the argument, and your response can be completely haywire. And what is told, like the one of the biggest professor of Stanford University, who is a neuro marketer, he has told, it's not me who's trying to say, he has straight away told that if someone who is not good in critical reasoning, he might be a very bad decision taker in his life, and he might not possess a good managerial skills also. So let's not get into that part at all. The point is that we are 100%, we should have a control of CR. If you can ensure that your critical reasoning is good, I promise you, your 75% of RC passes is done. And why I'm promising you in such a big way? Just for the reason because questions and verbals are exactly the same. Whatever questions you get in critical reasoning, it's almost the same question that you will get in reading comprehension. So right now, you know what, like in verbal section, let's say if you count critical reasoning and reading comprehension both, in critical reasoning, out of let's say 11 questions, I can 100% say you 100% I can say you that there will be 2 inference questions for sure. In reading comprehension, according to me, there are just 2 types of a question that are asked in the exam. One is primary purpose, that is key idea, main point of the passage. And second, all other questions I can classify into inference. So please understand, inference as a topic is extremely important in verbal, extremely important. It will cover the weightage of, imagine 2 questions here. If it is 4 passes, 4 primary purpose question, 12 minus 4, 8 and 2 out of 23 questions in verbal, you almost have near about 8, 9 or 10 questions alone of inference. So all these things will be very clear. Again, I'm trying to say you, the type of a question that are asked in critical reasoning, the same type of a questions would be asked in RC. The only one difference is main purpose, main point of the primary purpose of the passage, and primary purpose of the passage completely solely depends on your understanding of RC passage. Rest all the questions in critical reasoning also it is asked. Inference questions are very frequently asked in reading comprehension. In fact, strength and weaken, sometimes these types of questions are also asked. So once we have a grip on critical reasoning, I can promise you RC as a topic would be very easy to deal with. Do not go mad about RC. I promise it will be, if at all, what exactly RC challenges you is all about you reading the passage and you understanding the passage. If this is done, you will have absolutely no problem. And please understand, this is something which no one in the world can teach you. It's you who have to read yourself. It's you who need to have your own understanding, absolutely your own understanding, your own analysis, and only then something can happen. So reading comprehension, a lot of people come and tell me, Rahul, you know what, I have not understood the passage. How should I be approaching a reading comprehension? I'm like, that's a very paradoxical question that you are asking, that you don't understand the passage and how should you be approaching reading comprehension? That's a place where you will have to little bit cool down, read the passage again, ensure that you have a good, if at all you don't have an understanding of the passage, at least have an understanding of the structure of the passage as to what the paragraph number 1 is trying to say you, what paragraph number 2 is trying to say you, what paragraph number 3 or 4 is trying to say you. And based on those things, we can always come down to the answer. But let's start with critical reasoning. The reason I'm trying to say you, because hey, this is a place where you will exactly get to understand what are the types of a question that can be framed in a general verbal of GMAT right now, because verbal consists of only 2 things, CR and RC. And how should we approaching each and every type of a question? So approach of every type of a questions will be very critical, very clear to you in critical reasoning. Any problem right now till now? In any understanding, any questions you have regarding CR and RC in general, please ask. Abhishek,
So like
yes, Mac.
so like just now you told us like if you are not getting the passage, read the passage again. But in the timing of 2 minutes for the question,
No, again, I'm trying to
like
say, okay,
how can we manage
these are the stuff that we have to do it while we are doing in home. In exam, you will have no idea. In exam, you will have no time to reread the passage. So what we have to do right now is to
this?
ensure that develop our reading abilities. And for that, what I can do is to you that I can give you a link, or I'll just WhatsApp me. I'll send you a economist crack version. So I have been a regular reader of this magazine, and trust me, every word that is written in GMAT, reading comprehension, or let's say for a critical reasoning, the entire language matches to economists. And for me, it's not that I'm trying to say you can go in GMAT club and read any brief regarding who has got 770, or let's say right now 735, 45. Everyone says whose verbal has been weak, they have been reading economist for sure. Because Economist is such magazine where every article that is written in Economist, and I would technically say GMAT follows the economist structure of a writing. So I'll just show it to you over here, which magazine I'm talking about. Please ensure that I'll give you the crack version of it. The Economist subscription. Let's see, subscription, come down to it. You don't have to subscribe, please ensure, because this is a costly one. I'll give you a crack version. And this is one of the very beautiful magazine, I can tell you. 100% it should be read. This is not this is a subscription model. One second. And I'll just show you how beautiful this magazine is. Whatever you want to read in this magazine, you can read it from here. So let's say it's about us. So when you go here, you can, it's the name is Economist. It doesn't mean that it's a finance magazine, because I'm someone who is extremely far from finance and all. I'm not as absolutely entertained while I'm reading the finance magazine. But this is a place where your entire world is discussed, entire world. I think they have changed the entire structure of it. So imagine about this business career. No, this is a different one, dude. This is Economist Group. I'll send you the version. I'll send you the crack version. You can go ahead and read it. No issue. Just install it in your browser and you can read it. So please ensure in this Economist magazine, just read one article on a daily basis. That's all. That is more than sufficient. You don't have to go and start reading economy, because please ensure, be 100% sure. I can 100, if you come and tell me that Rahul, I have a problem in reading and understanding the passage, I can give you a very simple suggestion, go and start reading book. But please ensure you don't become reader in a day or 2 days. It takes a lot of time. Right now, the best bet here is that we practice more and more passes, more and more critical reasoning questions in the home. And considering, if you're so honest in accepting that there is a problem that's happening with me, that it's becoming very tough for me to read and understand the argument in one shot. In that case, what we can do is that you can practice things very slowly and gradually, because you cannot at all think of this, ki Rahul, in one day, why I'm not becoming better in critical reasoning or reading comprehension. It won't happen in one day, because this is what we are trying to do. We are studying literature, and literature does not, there is no dramatic difference that can come in 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, 1 week, 2 week. So verbal will have to practice for next 2 months very properly, guys. And you will have to take a leap of faith and trust on me. Whatever I'm asking you to do, you should be 100% doing it. I promise there'll be a dramatic difference in 2 months, but in next 1 day, 2 day, 1 week, 2 week, I can't change anything. Anyone, any problem, please, again, please tell me before we go ahead and start critical reasoning. Because we'll do some part of the critical reasoning today. Ashma, any problem? Jagan, Malvika, any problem? Rishika, Sanjana, any problem? Sapna?
Yeah, this is Jagan. No, we
No.
can continue.
Perfect. So let's start critical reasoning. What exactly critical reasoning is all about? So in critical reasoning, guys, what happens? Argument is given to you. That is called small passage, what you said. But this small passage is called as an argument. And what do you mean by argument? It means that it consists of facts and conclusion. The small passage that is given to you consists of facts and conclusion. This facts is also called as a premise. So what do you mean by, what exactly you mean by facts? What is the role of a fact in the argument? If at all, I feel that you've studied a bit about CR. Can anyone tell what is the role of a fact in the argument?
Which we cannot challenge.
Yeah, but what exactly is the role of fact?
It supports the conclusion that we derive.
It always and always supports the conclusion. Please understand, guys, there's only one role of a fact to support the conclusion. And what is conclusion, by the way? Conclusions are the say of an author. So conclusions are the final message given by author. So please understand, whenever you try and give a message, whenever you try to give your own opinion, that can always and always be challenged. So please understand, facts are something which cannot be challenged at all. Cannot be challenged at all. And conclusions are something which can be challenged. So imagine when I say that, let's say Malvika is a good girl and she would get into Harvard. Imagine I'm writing a simple example over here. Malvika is a good girl. And she would get in Harvard. She would get in Harvard Business School. Now, this was a fact that I have written. So please understand, when I say Malvika is a good girl, it means this is not a argument at all. Because a CR argument consists of facts and conclusion both. Remember, an argument cannot be an argument if it's only fact is given or only conclusion is given. So fact and conclusion both are mentioned in the argument. So when I say Malvika is a good girl, so this is a fact. And she would get into Harvard, this is my opinion. But this is an opinion which you can 100% disagree with me, Rahul. How would Malvika get into Harvard just being a good girl? So please understand, all I'm trying to say, facts are something which cannot be debated upon. If sun raises in the east, it raises in the east. You cannot have a discussion on me, Rahul, why sun raises in the east. What do you mean by why sun raises in the east? Imagine you have got 770 in GMAT, or let's say 735 in GMAT right now. So this is a fact. This is your score. Now I have told that I can tell that Tara has got 735 in GMAT and she would get into Harvard. But still you can disagree with my conclusion. Still you can disagree with the message that I want to convey. So please understand what technically happens in CR argument, that author wants to convey some message to you. Guys, please hear it very properly. Any doubt, please speak it up. If you do not speak, I'm not responsible for it. So author wants to convey some message to you. Wants to convey a message to you by writing one small argument that consists of 3 or 4 statements, lines. That's it. And how does author wants to convey a message to you? By using some facts. Facts. The same way I wanted to convey a message that Malvika is a good girl, or I can say Tara has got 735 in GMAT, and that's the reason she would get into Harvard. So this was a message that I wanted to convey with what facts? One fact was that Malvika is a good girl. I have made this argument for Malvika. Other fact, I can say Tara has got 735 in GMAT. This is a fact. She has got 735. So there is no doubt that there's an absolutely no options that you come and debate with me, Rahul, how can she get 735? It's not about how can she get it's a printed score front of you. That's a fact that cannot be challenged at all. Now, based on that fact, I wanted to convey a message that Malvika would get into Harvard. You can still disagree with me saying that Rahul's score is not only the criteria to get into Harvard, and that's absolutely perfectly fine. Nothing to bother about. All I'm trying to say you, a critical reasoning argument, the way argument is made, author wants to convey some sort of a message to you. And how do author convey a message? By bringing out some fact in the argument. That's as simple as it is. That's as simple as it is. Anyone, any doubt over here? And while you are speaking about, the point is when we discuss questions, I'll tell you all these things, because it's extremely important, guys, for you to speak up in critical reasoning class. If you don't speak, it will be a problem. So now what I'm going to tell you next is, I think the facts and conclusion is understood to you. Facts are something, facts in argument is only to support conclusion. So if I ask you, if someone asks you what is the role of a fact in the argument, the role, there is no other role of a fact except to support the conclusion. The simple role of a fact is to support conclusion. And conclusions are what? Final say of the author. This is the final message that author wants to deliver. And how is author delivering his message? By putting some facts over there in the passage. And that technically that passage is called as an argument. And that's the reason I'm speaking argument. Am I very clear? Anyone, any problem over here till now? Please tell. Any problem till now? Difference between facts and conclusion is very clear. Now, the second thing that comes into critical reasoning is never ever challenge the argument. What exactly I do, what I mean by writing this never ever challenge the argument. All I am trying to say you is that respect the argument. And I'm telling you all the rules right now, which is followed in any type of a CR questions. I'll discuss one by one all the topic. But I'm right now just telling you which should be followed in any type of a CR question that you are doing, doesn't matter at all. So never ever challenge the argument. It simply means respect the argument. What do I mean to by saying all these two statements? Can anyone tell me, please? What do I mean by this? That never ever challenge the argument and never support that means that respect the argument. What exactly do you mean by this?
I think you are saying that whatever is information given, you have to accept that information.
You have to
rather
accept that
than
information. Simple. So if I write Malvika is a good girl, if I write this particular argument, if I don't write, it means if it is given to you in CR question, you are not supposed to bring up your own knowledge and tell that how is it possible Rahul that sees a good girl and say would get into Harvard. Moment you think how is this possible, it means you are trying to challenge the argument. You aren't respecting the argument. So respecting argument and challenging argument also means that in any type of a critical reasoning questions you are solving, never choose a answer that supports the fact. Always remember this. That supports fact, and never choose a answer that challenges the fact. What do you mean by this? It means that your entire CR question revolves around the conclusion. I'll come down to all those points. So please, when I say never choose an answer that supports the fact, never choose an answer that challenges the fact, it means what? Think about it once now. It means that you have to respect fact. Fact should be represented. We are no one support, because moment you try and support a fact or moment you try and challenge a fact, you are doing nothing. You are bringing your own knowledge into this particular argument, and your knowledge has null and void when you're solving a CR question. In critical reasoning question, if it is written, sun rises in the west, for that particular argument, you have to accept this fact that sun rises in the west. You cannot bring up your own knowledge that sun rises in the east. No, this is absolutely crap. You have to accept the fact that sun rises in the west. So please ensure, even if you are, because a lot of you might be a very avid reader, and when you are a reader, you read some argument and you start trying to use your own head that no, this is something which is wrong because I have read in some book these things happens. So please ensure don't do that. However big reader you are, just keep it on a side. Ensure that you respect the argument. Whatever argument is presented front of you, you have to accept it as 100% true. Always remember. And that's the reason respecting argument means never choose an answer that supports the fact, never choose an answer that challenges the fact. When we do questions, I'll show you all these things. How should you be eliminating an answer? Don't worry at all. So based on this, what exactly comes down to? Everything boils down to only one thing in any type of a CR question that you are solving, except for inference. Except for inference, will come down to inference at the later stage. Except for inference question, any type of a critical reasoning questions you are solving, your first job is to get the conclusion right. If you do not get the conclusion right, remember 90% you will end up getting a wrong answer. A lot of time it happens, I'm telling you with the experience, a lot of time it happens that right now, till the time you are doing CR with me, I'll force you that do not get into the questions till you have understood conclusion well. A lot of time it happens that when you are good with CR, when you have done with 200, 300 questions of CR, what would happen here is that you will take it for granted. You will read the argument, you will have an understanding of the argument, and you will straight away come down to the question without even thinking about conclusion. You will feel that no, whatever I have done, I have a great understanding of an argument, let me directly go to the question. But if you cannot classify what the conclusion is of the argument, I promise you 90% of the time you will end up marking your answer wrong. Be very sure about it. And however much you cry, it does not matter at all. So you have to, there are certain process that should and must be respected, followed before you are attempting to solve a questions in CR. In CR, until you don't solve somewhere around 300 questions, you will not get that knack of solving a CR question. So initially, we have to solve questions very slowly, absolutely slow. Do not worry about timing, because there is no point you worrying about timing till you are extremely familiar with all the types of a CR question. So do not right from the class one start bothering about timings and all. You take for one question 1 hour, that is absolutely acceptable, but get the concepts right, get the answers right. That's it. So a lot of time it happens in CR, guys. I'll tell you a very basic stuffs which people do it wrong. A lot of time, let's say you have solved 20 questions of CR, considering without studying, you have got 18 wrong and just 2 right. It's absolutely okay to get 18 wrong. There's no botheration at all, because this is the first time you are doing it. There is an absolutely no issues that you have got 18 wrong. No issues at all. But the point is that how do you review CR questions? So please ensure, whether you be CTO or you be CEO of a company, or you be CXO of a company, or you be how ferocious reader you are, it just does not matter at all. There's one thing, never ever challenge the right answer. Challenge the right answer. I'm just asking you, how should you be doing a CR question when you are practicing it? Never ever challenge the right answer. Imagine there is a question given and there's an answer A, B, C, D, E. A lot of time it happens that you have marked answer D, imagine, and answer B is the right one. This D is wrong. A lot of time it happens that we tended to waste a lot of time understanding why is this not the right answer. Please understand, this is not right. That's what I'm telling you. You be CEO, you be CTO, you be CXO, you be the most avid reader you can ever be. If they say this answer is wrong, it means this answer is wrong. You should look for a reasoning why this answer is wrong instead of understanding why this answer is not right. It is not right. Simple logic. And there are a lot of questions, and we'll have a lot of discussion when we do the question. Don't worry about it. So your thought process should be to understand why D is the wrong answer and why B is the right answer. And please ensure, a lot of people does in CR that they get answer wrong. They straight away go and read the answer that is provided to you. Please don't do that, because what will happen in CR, do not waste CR question, because what will happen, CR questions are very limited. And if you directly go ahead and read the answer without you analyzing as to why B is right, why D is wrong, without your own reasoning, you have got D wrong. Now you felt and you have accepted it, okay, D is wrong. You straight away went and read the answer and you have accepted the answer. Okay, for this reason, D is wrong and B is right. But trust me, that will not be far-fetched at all. It will keep you in a big trouble. Your logic is you getting how many questions of CR initially wrong is no botheration at all. But follow the very basic stuff. Understand why D is wrong. Have at least one reasoning of why D is wrong. You should have one reasoning. You should think, keep thinking. You will come down to a reasoning. It won't happen in 1 day, 2 days. It'll take some time. Think why is B the right answer, at least one reasoning of why B is the right answer, and only then you are supposed to read the answer. And where conceptually it is like, let the question be of assumptions, or it be of evaluate, it be of strength and weaken paradox. That is my responsibility, that I'll ensure that every type of a question, you are conceptually clear with every type of a question. But again, just being conceptually clear does nothing at all. You will have to go ahead and practice hard. And I'll ensure that I give you the entire materials. Everything will be very clearly given to you. So let's come down to the next thing, is that what are the types of a question that could be asked in CR? The types of a question that could be asked in your critical reasoning. So one is assumptions, the first one. Second is your evaluate. Third one is, let's say, strengthen. Fourth one is weaken. Fifth is your flaw. Very entertaining topic. All the topics are extremely entertaining of CR, I can tell you. Flaw. Fifth is passes. Sixth would be passes completion. Seventh would be your paradox. Then comes eighth one as boldface. And then comes the ninth one comes as inference. Extremely important. Extremely important. We'll discuss. We'll have an entire discussion. Do not worry at all. So please understand, guys, one thing very clearly. If your assumptions in evaluate are bad, these two topics are not good. Trust me, your entire CR will suffer. I'm being very frank to it. So there is an absolutely no scope of your assumptions and evaluate questions to suffer at all. You should be crystal clear with each and every type of a question these are the types of a question that will be asked in CR. And there's something called conditional reasoning as well. But please understand, conditional reasoning is asked in form of an inference. It can also be asked to you in paradox. So conditional reasoning is not a type of a question. It can be actually mixed up with the inference. It can be mixed up with the paradox. It can sometimes be mixed up with the weekend also. It doesn't matter at all. So what exactly are all these terms? I'll make you understand. But broadly, these are the topic that you should be good with. And for the entire CR to be good, for your entire CR to be good, you have to be good in assumptions and evaluate. That's as simple as I can say. And critical reasoning is one of the most entertaining topic that you will study for yourself. It's absolutely, if you study in the way you are expected to study, I promise you, there will be absolutely no sorts of frustrations at all. But just follow what I'm asking you to do. If you do not follow that, this chapter would frustrate you to a lot. Anyone, any issues till now? Please tell. Any problem till now? Perfect. So let's start with assumptions topic of a critical reasoning. Very important topic, and you should be really, really good into it. Now, before we start assumptions, can anyone define me what is an assumption? Please. What do you mean by assumptions? Please pick it up. If you do not speak, I am not responsible. Ashma, Jagan, Malvika, what is assumption? Tara, what is assumption? Please tell. I think you might have read a bit for sure, all of you. But what is the meaning of assumptions?
That is certain or about to happen.
Certain or about to happen, Ashma. Wow, Ashma. Very diplomatic answer, but unfortunately that's wrong. I'm so sorry. Next.
Something which is actually implicitly without mentioning, it is already taken for granted while making the statement.
Taken for granted, yeah. To some extent it's okay, but how could you define assumptions in just 1, 2, 3 words? Tara, please. Malvika, tell. Something you might have studied. Sanjana, please, bolo. Until you don't speak, it won't happen.
It is like believe something.
What?
Assumption is believe something is true.
No, I may not believe
Sir,
whatever you are assuming.
assumption is something like if it is not true, then the whole argument will fall.
That is again, you were trying to not that definition. Simple logic. Simple logic. If it is not true, obviously, if it is not true, something will fall. Anything will fall in that way, man. Right? Think about it. Yes. Tell, Sapna.
Assumption is something where we know the conclusion, but we are actually assuming how to take the statement forward or how to see the facts. I don't know. Something.
Sanjana, what is your answer? Rishika, please speak it up. If you do not speak, I am not responsible. Later, you don't abuse me.
Is it that connection that states, the fact and your conclusion?
That's the most appropriate to now. But please understand, and guys, you don't have to feel bad about it. I may keep making some fun of your alls because I don't want to take class into some very strict environment. Please understand. You have to speak in my class, or else it will be a problem. So assumptions are something that connects facts, premise, and conclusion. That's a very that's the most appropriate definition that you can give of an assumption. But please understand, assumptions can be stated in just two words: hidden facts. Assumptions are nothing but a hidden facts. And moment I say you facts, what is the role of a fact? Please tell, speak it up. To support conclusion, right? Understand it very well. Assumptions are nothing but a hidden facts. And what is role of a fact? To support conclusion. So technically assumptions are something which always and always will support conclusion. Am I right? Yes or no?
Yes.
Always and always will support conclusion. Am I 100% right here? Please see, assumptions are nothing but a hidden fact. This is just a meaning of assumption. I was just asking you the meaning of assumption, hidden facts. And what is the role of a fact? We have just studied. There is only one role of a fact in critical reasoning: to support conclusion. Now, when assumption meaning itself is a hidden fact, so I can always say assumptions are something which by default always and always supports conclusion. Something that is taken for granted. Imagine I'm writing one simple argument over here that every year, everyone above 18 years can vote. So Mank can vote. What is an assumption over here?
Mank will be above 18 years.
Mank is above 18 years, right? This is the normal assumptions. Mank is above 18 years. So please understand, I've told you one thing, that in critical reasoning, we cannot challenge the argument. Argument is as it is. Absolutely not challengeable. When argument is stated front of you that everyone above 18 years can vote, so Mank can vote, can I 100% come down to the underlying assumption that Mank is above 18 years? And it did not be mentioned to you in the argument at all. It is a hidden fact. Please understand, if something that is already written in the argument, that cannot be an assumption. Assumptions are something which is never ever stated in the argument. Be very sure. Something that is taken by default. So when I say everyone above 18 years can vote, so Mank can vote, my normal assumption here is Mank is above 18 years. That's it. And these assumptions need not be written in this argument. It is explicitly understood to you. Assumptions by default mean something that is not stated in the argument, something which is taken by default. Am I right? Is that very clear? Yes or no? Please tell me.
Yes.
Agreed?
Yes.
So this is something which is taken by default, need not be stated in the argument. But please understand, this assumption, this is also a backbone of an argument. It means what? Without this particular assumption, this argument does not stand at all. Without this particular assumption, this argument does not stand at all. Everyone above 18 years can vote, so Mank can vote. So there is an underlying assumptions over there that Mank is above 18 years. So assumptions are also called the backbone of an argument. Without an assumption, the argument is never ever complete. Never complete. And this is taken for granted, something that need not be mentioned, but you have to consider it for granted reading the argument. When it says that every year, everyone above 18 years can vote, so Mank can vote, it by default means Mank is above 18 years. Simple, straightforward logic. It need not be mentioned to you in the argument at all. But the point comes that how do we approach assumptions questions? And please understand, it might be a bit frustrating in the beginning, but this is the only way that the entire world follows. So it's not my method. It's not some third person method or fourth person method. No, this is the entire world follows this method, and we have to only follow this method. There's no other thing that we can do it. Now, please come down to steps that how do we solve assumptions problem? How do we solve assumptions question? So my step number 1 and step number 4, any critical reasoning question is to identify conclusion. If you don't do this, you should not get into the questions at all. And the reason I've told you do 10 questions each from exercise 1, 2, 3 was just to build up that when you read some sort of argument, you should understand what are facts, you should understand what are conclusions. Simple, straightforward logic. So my job here is to identify conclusion first thing. Irrespective of the argument you are trying to solve, it makes no difference. This is the first step for any critical reasoning question that you are solving, except for the inference one. I'll come down to the inference later. So this is step one, identify conclusion. What is step two? Negate the answer choices. I'll explain you very well. Negate the answer choices. Step three is whichever negated choices weakens the conclusion. Whichever negated choice weakens the conclusion, that is your answer. Straightforward logic. Now, after when I've told you all these three steps, you will come down fighting on me, ki Rahul, right now you have taught that assumptions are backbone of an argument, hidden fact, supports conclusion. Why the hell should I be doing whichever negative choice weakens the conclusion? This is a very evident question that you can say. You can always say, Rahul, why should I not choose an answer that supports a conclusion rather than you telling me identify conclusion, negate the answer choices and see whichever negative choices weakens a conclusion. I can also go ahead with the step that I directly choose an option which supports my conclusion. Why should I follow this step? Obviously, the way I have told you right now, assumptions are the backbone of an argument. Assumptions are the hidden fact. The role of a fact is to support conclusion. So assumptions by default always and always supports conclusion. When you have told me all these things, why the hell should I be doing negate the answer choice and then see whichever negative choices weakens the conclusion? You must be doing this. Why should you be doing this? I'll tell you. Because this is a very evident question that is asked in every class, every particular class. Because the point is assumptions are nothing but a backbone of an argument. There's an absolutely no doubt about it. It always and always supports conclusion. Without assumptions, an argument cannot stand. Then why the hell should I be doing all these things, Rahul, that negate the answer choices and then see whichever negative choices weakens my conclusion? After all, why I should not choose an option that directly supports the conclusion? Am I making sense? Yes or no? Please tell me. If any one of you can tell me the answer of this, I'll be very happy to it. Why I should follow all these steps? You have to follow. Please be very sure. I'm just trying to be a bit soft here, that why should you be following? There's nothing called why and all. This is the only step that should be followed while solving assumption question. But all I'm trying to ask you, after all, why should you be following this? We can also choose an answer that directly supports the conclusion. Don't you feel? Logic says that. The way I've taught you right now, assumptions are something which always and always supports the conclusion. So you can ask a very evident question in front of me, Rahul, why? Why I should not choose an answer that directly supports the conclusion rather than doing all these things, negate the choices and see whichever negative choices weakens the conclusion. Please answer me, any one of you, anyone?
By doing this, we eliminate the choices to come to probably the correct answer, and we are 100% sure what we're selecting is correct answer.
Not that eliminate the choices to come to the right answer. In case of Tara, if you're even if you're looking for option that supports the conclusion, you will eliminate the wrong answer choice. But see over here, why we do this? Because a lot of time it happens that a third party information comes in the argument, in the answer choices. And you might be tempted to mark that as answer. So imagine I have just simply told you a simple argument I'm writing in front of you, that Tara is a good girl and she would get into Harvard. She would get in Harvard in HBS, let's see. Now I have written one answer choices, that all the good girls get into Harvard. Gets an HBS. My second option is Tara is a university topper. University topper. My third answer choice is Tara is gold medalist. And in this way, fourth on, so on, fourth point, fifth point, whatever we have. Now, what was my logic? My logic was to first identify conclusion. So I'm just solving with respect to all these steps. So Tara is a good girl. She would get into Harvard. This is my conclusion. Everyone agreed? My second answer choice is what? Negate the answer choices. What do you mean by negate the answer choices? Negate the answer choices again has a huge meaning. So imagine when I say Tara is a good girl. What is the negation of this? Please tell me. How do you negate this statement? Tara is a good girl. Bako. How do you negate the statement Tara is a good girl?
I think conclusion has no relation with the Tara is good girl. I think the conclusion
No,
is
no,
she would get it.
that's absolutely okay. I'm just asking you that how do you negate this statement? If I say Tara is a good girl, just negate this statement.
Tara is not a
Tara,
good girl.
Tara is not a good girl.
Yes, so negation of this will not be a Tara is a bad girl. Please understand. I can say Tara is not a good girl is a negation. So put not at a main place, at a verb where the entire meaning of sentence reverses. So when I say Tara is not a good girl, this is a negation of Tara is a good girl. So when I say Tara is not a good girl, it might be she might be one of the most brilliant girl I've ever met in my life. And she might be one of the most dumb girl also I've met in my life. So the meaning can go completely different. So the negation of Tara is a good girl is not Tara is a bad girl. The negation is Tara is not a good girl. Simple, straightforward logic. Now come down to this point. So it says Tara is a good girl. She would get into Harvard. My first job was to get the conclusion. I've got the conclusion. She would get into Harvard. My second job is to negate the answer choices. So imagine all good girls does not get into HBS. If I negate this answer choices, am I breaking my conclusion? Yes or no? Is my conclusion being weakened? When you say Tara is a good girl, she would get into Harvard. I'm negating this statement. All good girls does not get into Harvard. Am I trying to straight away challenge the conclusion ki how did Tara get into Harvard, right?
Yeah.
Is that very clear?
Yes.
But imagine if I try to negate this statement, Tara is not a university topper. Do you really feel it has got any bearing with the conclusion? Matlab, you don't have to be a university topper to get into
No.
Harvard. No, right? If I negate Tara is not a gold medalist, do you really think it has got anything to do with my conclusion?
No.
You don't have to be a gold medalist to get into Harvard. Agreed? Am I 100% yes, right or not? So please understand the reason why you need to negate it is because there are a lot of third-party information that is given to you in the argument. In case if you are directly looking for an option that supports the conclusion, you might 100% sometimes select all these answers. But please understand, if you are trying to select all these answers, you are doing nothing. You are trying to support a fact. And I've told you, never choose an answer that supports a fact. Never choose an answer that challenges a fact. So please understand, our entire game in critical reasoning is with conclusion, not with facts at all. So the reason, because I have just taught you that conclusions are something which always and always supports conclusion. Assumptions are something that always and always supports conclusion. But when I ask you to solve, when I've taught you how should you be solving assumption question, I'm trying to say you negate the answer choices and look for whichever negative choices weakens the conclusion. Why I'm asking you to do this? Because there could be if you directly go ahead and choose an answer that supports the conclusion, there could be a lot of third-party information, lot many, which you may not be able to identify at that point of time, but eventually it won't be supporting conclusion. It's a completely third-party information, completely out of scope answer. So please ensure, it's not about I'm trying to ask you, saying you please ensure that you use this method. There's no please and all. This is the only method that you should be using while you're solving assumptions question. There's a lot of different method that comes into picture, pre-thinking, and lot many things, but all those things are crap. I'm being very frank front of you. This is the only method that will work in assumptions, irrespective of the question it is. And I'll show you how you have to solve a question also. So the normally until we do the question, the understanding will never be proper at all. So let me solve some questions front of you. 1 second. So before we go ahead, let's solve some questions so that you understand what we are trying to do over here. Can we try solving question number 1, please? I know that none of you people have solved this, so I'll go very slow. I'll give you 3 or 4 minute times to read the argument. Please read the argument, come down to your answer, and then we'll have a discussion. Because, guys, the reason I ask you to solve all this question is that, trust me, discussing 9 questions will take me 3 hours for sure. If I don't give you time to read and answer the question, if you come by solving all these questions in the home, Then in class, it will take a lot of time because I don't want to put 15 questions, 20 questions and discuss all those questions, because me solving question is not going to benefit you. I want to solve some like 9 question, 10 questions so that, and I want to solve in a way where every options we look upon. Why should not we select the answer? And now when we do the question, please ensure speak it up. If you do not speak, I won't be responsible. So now simple, whatever concept of assumptions that we have learned now, can you please take 3 to 4 minutes, try solving these questions, and then we have a discussion on this. Saket, things are clear.
Yeah, I'm trying that. Yes.
Perfect. Perfect. Because CR, knowing the concept and trying the questions are very, very different. Trust me. We have to solve a lot of questions to have a complete understanding. So I don't think, please 1 minute more and put up your answers now. Any answers you put, it's absolutely fine. Rishika, D, Tara, B. Put up your answers, please, now. Mridul, B. Abhishek, D. Sanjana. Jagan, E. Ashma, D. Rishika, D. Shakit, B. Sanjana, your answer? Sapna, D. Perfect. Let's discuss this now. It says that country B, while production is not sufficient to meet, and guys, I'll try my best to read as many argument as I can, for sure. So it says that country B, while production is not sufficient to meet its current demand. Because until you don't do question, you will not learn. So please understand, is, are, has, have, these are all factual word. So when I say country B oil production is not sufficient to meet its current demand, can I say this is 100% a fact? Anyone, any problem here? Please tell. In understanding, this is a fact. So country B oil production is not sufficient to meet its current demand. What is the inference that you can draw from here? Inference means what? What is your understanding? Please understand, assumptions and inference are two corners of the ocean. Inference means what is your understanding by reading this argument? Imagine, I'm just deviating a bit from the topic. Imagine if I say you that you started preparing for GMAT. Imagine if I say you started preparing for GMAT from Jan 2024. What is the inference to this statement? Inference means what is your understanding from this statement? Simple logic. So please tell. Tara, what is the inference to this statement? Saket, Abhishek, please tell. You have to speak.
That you plan on attempting to write GMAT in 2024.
No, that is to like when you say I have started preparing for GMAT, that includes your plan. Ashma, Bako, Bolo. Malvika, don't be idle. Tell. Mridul. Rishika. What is the inference to this statement?
The preparation has already started.
What?
The preparation is already started.
No. No. So inference to this statement is that you have never prepared for GMAT before January 2024. Not that you have started your preparation, you are looking for 780 and you will give March on this or you are studying for these many hours. Those things are all corrupt. The inference to this statement is that you have never prepared for GMAT before January 2024. So inference is nothing but your understanding. What is your understanding by reading a statement? And this understanding should develop, guys, for sure. Agreed? So inference is simple, that you have never prepared for GMAT from before January 2024. Not that you started studying or you are studying for 2 hours, 5 hours. Please, guys, until you don't speak, I won't be able to clear it anything. So when I say country B oil production is not sufficient to meet its current demand, I can 100% say, what can I infer from here? That country B need to import the oil. This is the normal inference. This is the normal understanding that I'll have. Country B need to import the oil. Agreed? Any problem here? Now you say this is a fact because it is and all. Now check over here. The next statement, it says that in order to sharply reduce the dependence on foreign source of oil, first of all, they are trying to say that country B oil production is not sufficient. So they have to import the oil. Now what they are trying to say, they want to sharply reduce the dependence on foreign source of oil. Country B recently embarked on a program requiring all its automobile to run on ethanol in addition to gasoline. First of all, tell me, right from in order to this place, did we read fact or do you feel that there is a conclusion in this? The first statement says country B is not sufficient to meet its current demand, purely fact. And because it is not sufficient, that's the reason it need to import the oil. Because just imagine what is happening in Pakistan and Sri Lanka for some time back. Pakistan as a country is ruined because there is no oil supply at all. They don't have money to purchase that. But now they are managing it somehow, but this is the condition that has happened with Pakistan and Sri Lanka as well. So imagine India as a country does not have a oil for 1 week, the entire country will collapse within a second. So this is such an important resource, such an important fuel right now. And however much you say me ki Rahul battery is coming into picture and all, for next 50 years, I don't think so oil is going anywhere. For sure it is not going. It's my analysis. I don't know. You may choose to disagree with it for sure. So in order to sharply reduce the dependence of foreign source of oil, country recently embarked. So now what they want to do, they want to reduce the dependence. Reduce its dependence. And how they are planning to reduce the dependence? They have formed some alternate source of fuel called ethanol. They have formed some alternate source of fuel called ethanol. This is what it is written over here. In order to sharply reduce the dependence on foreign source of oil, country B recently embarked on a program requiring all its automobile to run on ethanol in addition to gasoline. So it might be they have abundance of ethanol, and that's the reason they have made this program that every vehicle has to run on ethanol in addition to gasoline. Like what? If you listen to Gadkari's speech every now and then without, he doesn't give a speech where he does not uses the word called ethanol. That is something which is important. So it might be that the country has abundance of ethanol, so they have introduced some alternative source of fuel called ethanol. And now what is happening? Combined with its oil production, country B produces enough ethanol from agriculture byproduct to meet its current demand. Now they are coming down to a conclusion saying that ethanol plus oil is sufficient to meet the current demand. So last line is the conclusion of the argument. This is what author is planning to say. Author is planning to say that they don't have enough oil. That's the reason they need to import. Now they wanted to reduce the import. How they wanted to reduce the import? They have formed some alternate source of fuel called ethanol. And now they say that ethanol plus oil is sufficient to meet the current demand of energy. Am I being very clear? Is the argument understood? Yes or no? Anyone who has any problem over here? Saket, any problem here?
No.
Mayank, any problem? Tara, any problem?
Oh, Rahul.
Perfect. Now see here, the question says, which of the following must be assumed in order to conclude that country B will succeed in its plan to reduce the dependence of oil? Now, there are some questions where conclusion is given to you in the question only. Here, the conclusion is given to you in the question. In order to conclude that country B will succeed in its plan to reduce its dependence on foreign source of oil. It means, what is the plan? Oil plus ethanol is sufficient to meet the current demand. Now let's come. Electric power, is it discussed in the argument? You don't have to even negate this. Please understand, you
No.
don't have to negate for more than 3 options. 2 options you can straight away eliminate. Can I say electric power is not superior alternative to ethanol? Is electric power discussed in the argument? No, right? So you should not be even thinking for a second about answer A. But anyone who has marked answer A, please tell what was your thought process. Okay. B says in country B domestic product. I'll come down to B for sure. Wait. Let's look into C and E. Who has marked C and who has marked D? A lot of people, a lot of you have marked C and E. You don't have to bother, man, please. So there's a C, C, B, C, C. Sanjana is C and E. Now tell me, in this argument, did they say anything about ethanol, Sanjana? They just said that ethanol as an alternate source of fuel was found. And then they have directly concluded that ethanol plus oil is sufficient to meet the current demand. Did they talk anything else about ethanol? That what is the mileage, what is the sufficiency, it is good, it is bad, it is none of our business at all. Any answer that you are choosing about ethanol, you are bringing from your own knowledge. There is no discussion about ethanol is suitable. How does it matter to me ethanol is suitable for hitting home or not suitable? How does it matter to me whether the mileage of ethanol through ethanol will you get a good mileage or not? Because these are the stuff which has not been discussed in the argument. Argument discussion is that they had to import the oil. They wanted to reduce the import. How they wanted to reduce the import? They have formed some alternate source of fuel, ethanol, and they have directly come down to a conclusion that ethanol plus oil is sufficient to meet the current demand. They haven't discussed anything about ethanol absolutely in the argument. So what else ethanol is suitable for, or how efficient is ethanol, is none of my business at all. This is out of scope answer, I can tell you. Anyone, any problem? Anyone want to discuss with C and E? Please tell. Any discussions in option number C and E? Anyone? Clear?
Could you repeat once more?
Yeah. So all I'm trying to say you over here, Abhishek, Saket, is that there has been nothing discussed in this argument about ethanol. That what is ethanol suitable for hitting homes or not, or what is the efficiency of ethanol that you get. The argument clearly states that country B had to import the oil. Now they want to reduce the import. Now for reduction of the input, they have formed some alternate source of fuel found in their country called ethanol. And then argument directly come down to a conclusion that ethanol plus oil is sufficient to meet the current demand. Agreed? So choosing option number C and option number E would be a sure shot disaster, considering that there is no discussion about ethanol, that what is ethanol is suitable for heating homes or not, and what is the efficiency of ethanol. How does it matter to me? It says ethanol plus oil is sufficient to meet the current demand. Let whatever the mileage be, it does not matter at all. And if you bring about the mileage stuff and all, it means you are bringing your own information to the argument, which makes no sense at all. We have to be very much within the scope of an argument. And in scope of an argument, there has been no discussions about ethanol except for saying that this is the alternate source of fuel that they have found, and they see that ethanol plus oil in their country is sufficient to meet the current demand. Am I right? Yes or no? Any other discussion with option number C and option number E? Please tell me. Option number A is wrong because electric power is not discussed. Now let's come down to B and D. First, let's come down to B. B says what? In country B, domestic production of ethanol is increasing more quickly than domestic oil production. How does that matter? Let's now imagine if there is nothing that you can do in the answer choices, then follow the steps. Option number A, C, and E, we could eliminate without negating this. Why could we eliminate? Because this is absolutely out of scope answer to me with the respect to information that is given to me in the argument. Now let me come down to B and D. B says what? In country B, domestic production of ethanol is increasing more quickly than domestic oil production. Now imagine you don't understand anything from that. Domestic production of ethanol is increasing more than domestic oil production, whether it is increasing, not increasing. In case if you do not understand anything, then follow step number 2. Step number 1, identify conclusion. We have identified this. Step number 2 says what? Negate the answer choices. So I'm negating it. Country B, domestic production of ethanol is not increasing more quickly than domestic oil production. Do you think it is trying to impact conclusion in any way? Conclusion says ethanol plus oil is sufficient to meet the current demand. And option number B, after negation, it is linking domestic production of ethanol is not increasing more quickly than oil production. How does it matter to me whether domestic production of ethanol is more or domestic production of oil is more? It is none of my business. Whatever be more, I'm trying to conclude ethanol plus oil is sufficient to meet the current demand. It might be ethanol production is not more than oil production, or oil production is not more than ethanol production, but we are here combining. Our conclusion is ethanol plus oil is sufficient to meet the current demand. So there is no way we think about what is the production of ethanol, what is the production of oil, whether ethanol production is less or oil production is more, or ethanol production is more or oil production is less. We are not supposed to think about this at all. Now, please understand here. So these are the stuff that I'll be telling you when I'm solving question. It is not possible to tell you or give you a list in one shot as to what should be done, what should not be done. Whenever it keeps coming in the questions, I'll keep telling you. Please understand, more and all is non-quantifiable word. So whenever you see more, less, steady, lot of other options can be there. Move. You have to be very calculative while you're marking the answer. So imagine you have 1 rupees. I have 2 rupees, I have more money than you. I have 100 rupees, I have more money than you. I have 1000 rupees, I have more money than you. I have 10,000 rupees, I have more money than you. I have 1 lakh rupees, I have more money than you. I have 1 CR with me, I have more money than you. So more as a word is non-quantifiable. So if it says, even if I'm trying to negate that domestic production of ethanol is not increasing more quickly than domestic oil production, it might be domestic oil production could be 1000 ton and ethanol production could be 999 ton, just 1 ton less. You can say keep production of ethanol is not increasing more quickly than oil production. Why? Because ethanol production is less than oil production. So more as a word is non-quantifiable word. I'll tell you a lot of places, I'll tell you all these things. These things are not supposed to be remembered. These are the things when you do it slowly, you get to analyze all these things in this way. Your job is simple. If you have choose option number B as an answer, or you have choose option number C as an answer, but you saw that correct answer is D. Now you just have to put down all your egos. Do not think why is B not right, why is E not right. They are not right. Simple logic. Your simple reasoning should be to think, after all, why is B wrong, why is E wrong? And these are the thought process that you have for a bit of time. I'm telling you there will be a dramatic change in the way you approach a problem for sure. So B is gone because in no way it was trying to weaken my, my job is simple. If I negate my answer choice, it should weaken the conclusion. Now come down to option number D. It says what in country B, gasoline consumption. Now there is a not. I'm trying to remove this not because I'm trying to negate it. Gasoline consumption is increasing at substantially high. Substantially is extreme word, guys. Please make a note of it. It's extreme word. So it says gasoline consumption is increasing at substantially higher rate than domestic while in ethanol production. It means what they are trying to say you? Consumption is increasing at a very fast rate than production. If consumption is increasing at a very fast rate than production, do you really feel ethanol plus oil will be sufficient to meet the current demand? Tell. At a substantially higher rate, and that's the reason I've given 3 signs. So if consumption is increasing at a very faster pace than production, then they will have to import. It breaks my conclusion. If I negate my answer choice, it should 100% break my conclusion. And that's what is happening. So this is the right answer. Now imagine you have got this answer to be right. Now you want to reconfirm as to why this answer is right. We have to get into details, guys. When you're solving first 50 question, solve very slowly. Because until you don't solve slowly, you will not look into the wordings. You will not understand how word plays a very different role in critical reasoning. To have all these understanding, first 50 questions of any topic, assumption should be solved very slowly. Now imagine D is the right answer. You have negated it. You saw that it is breaking the conclusion. Now let's reconfirm how is this the right answer. Now our reconfirmation, and this you have to do just for 50 questions. I'm not asking you to do all these things in the exam, because in exam you will have no time to do all these things. My job is pretty simple. Here, this is a place where we can do all. When you are practicing in home, do all the experiments that you can. Do not bother about timing at the right place. Now you have got that D is the right answer. Let's reconfirm why D is the right answer. So let's say this is a fact and this is a conclusion. We always know that assumptions are something which always and always supports conclusion. So my job would be to read fact first and then read the assumptions and then read the conclusion and see that it is falling into same sink or not. Exactly. So now I'm reading fact. Please listen to me very carefully. It says that in order to reduce the dependence on foreign source of oil, country B recently embarked on a program requiring all its automobile to run on ethanol in addition to gasoline. Now, in country B, gasoline consumption is not increasing at substantially higher rate than domestic oil and ethanol production, and therefore, combined with its oil production, country B produces enough ethanol from agriculture byproduct to meet its current demand for energy. Is this being understood to everyone? Yes or no? Is it making a complete sense, Tara? Jagan, Malvika, any problem? Yes, Tara, please tell me.
No, I got it.
No.
Sure, Jagan. Abhishek, Mridul, any problem here?
No.
Agreed? Very clear. Please tell. Please tell if you have any problem. Now, check here. Ashma, any problem? Now, this is one way to say what exactly is happening over here. Now, there's something called pre-thinking. Guys, I'm just giving you all these things so that when you're practicing, you should look into all these things. When you are actually solving questions for the exam or when you are practicing in time condition, there is no other thing that you should be doing. Simply get the conclusion, negate the answer choices, see whichever negate choices weakens your conclusion is the right answer. But to understand holistically as to what assumption is, everything should be known to you. Now, let's say pre-thinking. What is pre-thinking? I'll tell you now. Now, tell me, I've told you always and always respect the fact. I think I've told you by now more than 100 times. Entire argument should be respected in a very beautiful manner. So respect the argument. That's the whole point. Now check over here. What is the conclusion of my argument? What author is trying to conclude? That combined with its oil production, country B produces enough ethanol from agriculture byproduct to meet its current demand for energy. if author is concluding this, that oil plus ethanol is sufficient to meet the current demand, please tell me what would author think? Matlab, what, after thinking, what author might have come down to this conclusion that oil plus ethanol is sufficient to meet the current demand? Author might have 100% thought now that in country B, gasoline consumption is not increasing at a substantially higher rate than domestic oil production. Please understand how the questions are framed, because if you have these understanding, you will get to know what exactly an assumption is very clearly. I have shown you by negating, we have got answer D. I have shown you by you read fact, read assumptions, read conclusion, it should fall into the same thing. Now think about pre-thinking. What pre-thinking is? Pre-thinking is not but the answer choice only. Please understand, what does author has concluded? Author conclusion is oil plus ethanol is sufficient to meet the current demand. This is the conclusion of an author. And what we know about assumptions, that assumptions by default always supports the argument. It always favors the conclusion. All I'm trying to ask you, when author was concluding this statement that oil plus ethanol is sufficient to meet the current demand, what author might have had in his head? Think about it. Author might have assumed something for sure, right? An author assumption should be nothing, but author might be 100% sure that gasoline consumption is not increasing at substantially higher rate than domestic oil production, and therefore author has concluded that oil plus ethanol is sufficient to meet the current demand. So this is called pre-thinking, guys. Is this question understood? Anyone who feel a bit of problem anywhere, please ask me, only then I'll be able to clear it. Ashma, any problem? Jagan, any problem? Malvika, Mridul, any problem? All clear?
No.
Perfect. Now let's come down to the next question. We'll do it slow. Don't worry at all. Can we do question number 2 now? Beautiful question. Very beautiful question. Try.
Rahul, could you just go back on the pre-thinking part?
So pre-thinking part, I was trying to say you, Tara, that author has concluded what in this? Tell me. Just speak it out. What is the conclusion of author?
That oil plus ethanol is sufficient to meet the demand.
So this is the actual conclusion, right?
Yeah.
Now assumptions is what, Tara? Something that always supports conclusion. Is this clear?
Yeah.
So if author is concluding this, Tara, that oil plus ethanol is sufficient to meet the current demand, think what author must have assumed in his head before coming down to this point, or before author gave you this particular final message that oil plus ethanol is sufficient to meet the current demand. Author must have 100% taken into consideration, Tara, that consumption is not increasing at a substantially, matlab author might be 100% knowing that consumption is anyway not going to exceed the production. This entire statement number D is what? Consumption in near future will not exceed the production, right? Understood, Tara?
Yeah.
Because when author is concluding this, Tara, that oil plus ethanol is sufficient to meet the current demand, and what we know about assumptions, Tara, that assumptions are something which always supports the conclusion. So author, before concluding that oil plus ethanol is sufficient to meet the current demand, author must have 100% thought in his head that in near future, he might have seen in near future, in no way consumption is going to increase the production, to exceed the production. And because consumption is not going to exceed the production, and that's the reason author has concluded that oil plus ethanol is sufficient to meet the current demand. And that is nothing but by default assumptions over here. Agreed, Tara? So technically, Tara, pre-thinking is nothing but the answer that is given to you. It is not, pre-thinking is not something that you keep thinking by yourself, something very different stuff and all. No. If at all you are trying to pre-think, this should be the answer. This should be the thought process that you should have. Because author is trying to conclude oil plus ethanol is sufficient to meet the current demand. Now to conclude this, to have this sort of a conclusion, author might have 100% ensured that in no way consumption is going to exceed the production in near future. And that's the reason I can 100% say oil plus ethanol is sufficient to meet the current demand. Agreed? Any problem, Tara?
Yeah, got it.
Got it?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay.
Can we do question number 2? You can take 3 to 4 minutes. I know none of you have done it, but please from next class, guys, please do and come. Don't come without that. I request you. Try question number 2, please. Abhishek A. Okay. Saket E. Mark up your answers, please. Read slowly. Jagan A. Okay. Malvika B. Mridul E. Perfect. Should we discuss? Tara, you got the answer. Tara E. Perfect. Okay. So let's discuss. Although there has been a great scientific decade over the global warming, although there has been a great scientific debate for decades over has means what? Fact, simple, so logic. Most scientists now agree that human activity is causing the earth temperature to rise. So is causing earth temperature, this is again a fact. Any problem in understanding this particular argument till here? No, right? Now see here, though predictions vary, many global warming experts believe that average global temperature will rise between 3 to 8 degree Fahrenheit during the next century. It says, though predictions vary, many global warming experts believe that average global temperature will rise between 3 to 8 degree Fahrenheit during the next century. Agreed? Such an increase would cause alarming rise in the sea level, displacing millions of people by destroying major population center along the world coastal cities. So what is my conclusion? There is anyone who has a problem in understanding the conclusion? This is the conclusion for me. Anyone who feel that this is not the conclusion, please tell me if you have got some other conclusion for sure. Tell. Anyone who has got other conclusion? Now, what is my conclusion? That such an increase would cause alarming rise in the sea level, displacing millions of people by destroying major population center along the world coastal cities. So when I read this conclusion, tell me one thing, Tara, what should be the negation of it? How do you negate this statement? Like, how do you weaken this statement? Saying that such an increase would cause alarming rise in the sea level, displacing many people. People should not be displaced. That would be a potential weakener for this particular statement. Don't you feel? Without even reading the answer choices, if you understand this is a conclusion. Now the question says, which of the following is an assumptions in the support of argument conclusion? So let's say B. Individual will become more aware of the steps they can take to reduce the emission of greenhouse gases. Individual will not become more aware of this step. A lot of you might have got B also as answer, right? If I'm not wrong. Who's got B? Malvika? Malvika B. Okay. Tell me one thing. If I negate this, individual will become more aware of the steps they can take to reduce the emission of. Aren't you aware right now that global warming is going on? Please tell me one thing. Aren't we aware
Yes.
right now that global warming is going on? Does it mean that you are trying to take some sort of a steps to reduce the global warming? You being aware about the global warming and you taking steps for the global warming are two different corners of the ocean. Just you being aware about the global warming does not at all justify that you will start taking steps also for the global warming. Be 100% sure about it. Am I right? Yes or no?
Okay.
So imagine if I weaken this Malvika, if I negate this Malvika, individual will become more aware of the steps they can take to reduce the emission of greenhouse gases. Tell me how it is weakening my conclusion. After what was your thought process? Be very frank about it. Nothing to bother, because until you don't speak in CR, nothing will happen. I'm telling you. You speak out in CR, let you be very wrong. It doesn't matter at all, but the learning will increase exponentially if you speak. So tell me in one way, any other also. Tara, even you can think about it. Rishika, even you can think about it. Ki how will individual will become aware of, like I have just simply negated this statement that individual will become more aware of the steps they can take to reduce the emission of greenhouse gases. How is this statement weakening it? Tell.
Is it because there's nothing really mentioned about greenhouse gases?
No, I can't say that there is nothing mentioned about greenhouse gases, because global warming is end result of a greenhouse gases actually. So just that because argument does not mention greenhouse gases and B mention greenhouse gases, so that could be not a reason for this to reject the answer. For sure. Now please tell me. Because it's simple. Tell me how can that's what I just told you. You being aware about the global warming and you taking steps about the global warming are two different things. You just being aware about the global warming does not at all means that you are taking steps also for the global warming. If individual will become aware, then the shift will not happen, right? But to some extent, Abhishek, you have told the right thing. But again, it's a very far-fetched assumptions over here. Now, what exactly you are trying to say me here? That individual will become more aware of the steps they can take to reduce the greenhouse gases. So they will start taking steps. And if they will start taking steps, the global warming will not happen. There will not be an increase in the water level. People will not be displaced. It's a very far-fetched assumption, don't you feel? Agreed? Am I right or wrong? Tell me this. First of all, you being aware about the global warming absolutely does not mean that you will take steps for the global warming. That is that's a very simple logic to eliminate this answer. But again, even because a lot of people have a habit of thinking. So you are trying to tell me individual will become more aware of this step. Now, because they will become more aware of this step, it means that they'll start checking for the global warming. And it says individuals. Means, are you talking about individuals in terms of a billion, million, trillion? You don't know, because there are 8 billion people in the world. So if this individual justifies to all 8 billion people, then it might be. But despite that, also imagine they have become aware of this step. Now you're trying to me they'll start taking the steps. They'll start taking steps to reduce the greenhouse gases. And if they take steps to reduce the greenhouse gases, the sea level will not increase. And therefore displacement of people will not happen. Imagine how far assumption it is. No, that's not the right answer. Perfect. Anyone, any doubt in this option? Tara, any problem? Malvika, is this clear? Rishika, is
Yes.
this clear? Ashma, any problem here? Can anyone tell me why C is I didn't see anyone marking C as the answer. Why? Tell me why is C wrong? Anyone? Because none of you have marked C. It means that you have a reasoning to eliminate C for sure. Can I hear 2-3 reasonings? Tara, tell me the reasoning as to why you didn't answer C. Rishika, tell me the reasoning, please.
Because it has written affect all coastal population centers.
What? Ashma, again, please.
C it has mentioned population centers, right?
They say rising sea level similarly affect all the coastal population centers. So my job is simple. I'll straight away negate it, Ashma. Rising sea level does not similarly affect all the coastal population center. Now you have to tell me how is this weakening the conclusion? Because it should weaken the conclusion for this to be the answer. So it says that sea level does not similarly affect all the coastal population centers. So please understand, let's say Mumbai is a height of 2.3 meter above the sea level. This is Mumbai. South Africa is a height of 2.5 meter above the sea level. New York is a height of 2.7 meters. Sea level has rose to 2.6 meter. Whether it affects similarly or it affects dissimilarly, but it is still affecting the coastal population center. Still people are being displaced. So even if I negate it, my conclusion is not being weakened. So guys, please understand, I'm folding my hand. Your job is to analyze each and every option. Just do not analyze the right options, understand this is the right answer and move on. Don't do that in CR. You should know initially why 4 answers are wrong. That's something which is very important. Because if this understanding doesn't come, it will be a problem, I'm telling you. So it will be a very fake study of a critical reasoning if you simply know why the right answer is right. That's something which is absolutely never recommended at all. Why the right answers are right. You should also understand why the 4 answers are wrong. There will be some questions in your exam where you will have a 100% confidence that Rahul have read an argument and there was an assumption questions. I read option number A. I felt that this is 100% the right assumptions. I marked the answer, moved on. All those things are 100% fine. 100% fine. But right now, when we are doing the questions, 100% you should try and figure out why each options are wrong, because or else it will be a problem. And you should try to figure out a very right reasoning, a reasoning that satisfies your own head, your own conscience. You don't have to take a permission from me. You don't have to take a permission from GMAT club. You should have one reasoning which satisfies your conscience, that I have negated this particular statement. And because of the negation, there should be a logic to it, that I negated my negation. I have learned this, that there could be 5 different cities at 5 different heights. Now, whether sea level similarly affect all the coastal population center, all sea level does similarly affect all the coastal population center, but it is still affecting the coastal population center, and that's the reason I will not consider this into the answer choice. Am I right? Guys, speak it out. I'm try time and again. I'm trying to say you speak. If you don't speak, I'm not responsible for it. It's a critical reasoning class. You are not supposed to be so silent in the class, and at least in my class, don't be silent, please, man. Acha, come down to option number D. What is the reason for negative? Yep.
Yeah, so can we also negate that choice based on, so the option mentions it affects all the coastal population and all is like an extreme assumption to make, and in a conclusion it mentions major population, like destroying major populations.
No, Tara, no.
No?
There
Okay.
could be answer choices where almost are right in critical reasoning. So this is what we go in reading comprehension, where eliminate the extreme words, right? So this is a logic for reading comprehension, Tara. Do not use that logic in CR at all. Just because there is extreme word used, so you can reject it. That should not be the case at all, Tara. Let's understand the entire meaning wise very properly. Agreed? Now, a lot of you, I think, have not even marked D as answer. Can you please give me explanation as to why D is wrong? One line explanation, that's it. Pretty simple, even I don't have to ask you. It says some global warming experts predict a greater than 8 degree Fahrenheit. First of all, some global warming expert predict a greater than 8 degree. Let's say it does not predict a greater than 8 degree Fahrenheit. How the hell how it actually engages my conclusion? Nowhere. In fact, my fact says what? Many global warming experts believe that average global temperature will rise between 3 to 8 degree Fahrenheit. Here it's saying some global warming expert predict a greater than 8 degree. straight away not say that it is trying to challenge the fact? Tell me one thing. First of all, it has got no bearing with the conclusion at all. And second thing, it is said that it is trying to challenge the fact. I have told you right in the first, right now I have told you that do not choose an answer that challenges a fact. Do not choose an answer that supports a fact. Because if you try and choose an answer that challenges a fact or support a fact, respect fact as a word, you are completely disagreeing with this particular logic. In any critical reasoning question, this is the first thing that needs to be taken into consideration. Respect fact. Respect fact means don't challenge fact, don't support fact. Simple logic. Let the fact be fact. You are not supposed to play around with the fact at all. You are only supposed to play around with the conclusion. In critical reasoning, if you get to know the right conclusion of an argument, I can promise you 80% of CR question is done. But please guys, however, never let your conscience to do some altu faltu stuff. Get to the reasoning. And when you are doing it in home, you easily take half an hour for this question. I don't care about it at all right now. But all I want to say, when you mark an answer, there should be a logic to it. It should not sound illogical that something you are doing and doing it. No. There should be some logic, and it will happen gradually. I promise that it will happen. But you just follow what I'm asking you to do. I've not still asked you to do. Once I'm done with the class, I'll ask you for sure. Can we go ahead with option number E? Can anyone tell me why is E wrong? Tara, you chose E, right? Who all choose D? How can you choose E? You need slabs. No. Rishika, you choose D or what?
Yeah.
How? This is a disaster. Stupid.
Yeah.
See here.
I
Human
get it.
activity is causing a earth
Yeah.
temperature to rise. This is a fact. This is a reinstatement of facts. It is not the assumptions. Assumptions are always hidden. Assumptions means hidden facts, not stated in the argument. And this is 100% stated in the argument. If you choose this answer, Tara and Rishika, they'll deduct your 80 points, remember. Do not, because end of the day, if you are choosing this answer, it means you don't know what an assumption is. Simple, straightforward logic. Because this is a fact which has been reinstated in form of answer choices. And assumptions are something which is never ever stated in the fact. So A, I'll come down to A is the right answer because 4 are wrong answer. A is the right answer. Agreed? Chandrasekhar.
I had not considered A because it seemed out of scope for me.
Yeah,
Because no new technology has been mentioned in the passage.
Not for you, Malvika. It looks out of scope for 99% of the people. And there is a lot of discussion in this option. But I'll try to cut short the discussion very aramse. Let me check once. So you will have to follow. Chandrasekhar, have you read this question or you're still reading it? I think you joined right now. Chandrasekhar, are you there? Can you hear me? Perfect. So come down to this. Now, a lot of people say that A is an out of scope answer. Now, if I give you a reasoning that A is not out of scope answer, A is the right answer, just take half a second, half a minute, but 30 seconds. Think why A is the right answer. Please think that, Malvika, you will get the answer. I'll explain you anyway. Tara, Rishika, please think why A is the right answer. Abhishek.
It is challenging the conclusion of author.
It is challenging the conclusion. If you negate it, right?
If we negate it, then
yeah, if we negate it for
challenge.
sure. But right now, Malvika said that technological development is out of scope. How? That's a very beautiful thing. That the reason, see, you will get frustrated with CR if you do not read in the way you are expected to read. But if you read it in the way you are expected to read, trust me, you get wrong answer for 100 questions. Still, you will love this section. It is not about you getting wrong and right. It is absolutely not about you getting wrong and right. If you keep yourself to this wrong and right, it will never improve. You have to just go beyond. You just have to think a lot. Think it loud. It says new technological development. What is technological over here? Malvika, Rishika, Tara, Abhishek, tell. Don't you feel this is an adjective? Or do you think it's the main subject, or do you think it's the main subject of the statement? I'm giving you a very proper reasoning. Trust me, you will not get this reasoning anywhere. And I have said this reasoning to some very big guy and he was like super impressed. Tell me, what is technological over here? It's an adjective, yes or no? If I don't, so what do I mean to say it's an adjective? I'm telling you, Malvika, to read this statement without reading technological. It is because technological development can be possibly only by humans. Nahi, nahi, Sanjana. You had two details. No. So first of all, see over here. If I remove technological, Malvika, now read this sentence. Is it making a complete sense? Yes or no?
It makes sense, but it also seems as far-fetched as B to me.
No, I'll come down to your far-fetched and all. Don't worry at all. But it is making a complete sense. Yes or no? Anyone who feel that it is not making a sense? So word technological is written just to deceive you. It is talking about new developments. And you please see here, new developments in the, I'll show you how it is right within the scope of an argument. Give me 2 seconds. New development in the next century will divert. How it is saying far-fetched to you, Malvika, you deserve a slap. So new development in the next century will divert rising sea from the world coastal cities. Agreed. What do you mean by this? If new development in the next century will divert rising sea, then the sea level will not rise itself. If it will divert the rising sea from the world coastal city, then displacement of millions of people by destroying major population center is straight away challenged or not. So please understand, Malvika, how displacement of people is happening because sea level will rise. Now I'm telling you, no, I have some developments, Malvika, which I'll ensure that sea level will not rise. If sea level will not rise, then displacement of people won't happen, right? Malvika,
Okay.
you are living in Mumbai. Tomorrow some
Yeah.
tsunami comes. Mumbai is gone, drawn. So you will run away from there, no? You will run away from Mumbai, yes or no?
Right.
But if government says, ki no, let tsunami has come, but we have all the technologies, Mumbai will not be drawn. Don't worry about it. Then you will live peacefully over there, right?
Okay.
But trust me, there is no such developments as at all to save you from tsunami and all. The day tsunami comes, you are gone, Malvika, for sure. Now, understand this. Now you have got this as an answer. Now, what we need to do over here, I have told you, and I'm asking you not to do these things in the exam, but till you don't understand assumptions conceptually very well, you should be doing it for next 50 questions that you solve of assumptions. And I'll give you all the questions to solve. So my next, I've told you, now you have got this as an answer. Now you need to recheck your answer. How do you recheck? And even while you are rechecking, don't read technological. If you read technological, you will have a confusion that this is out of scope answer, but this adjective is placed beside development just to deceive you. This is not the main subject. The main subject is developments in the next century, not the technological development. There could be statistical development also. It could be AI development also. There could be a lot of development, but the major subject is development, not technological at all. Now I've asked you to read fact, and then I've asked you to read assumptions, and then I have asked you to read conclusion, right? And now see that it is now when you are rechecking your answer, please understand now I'm rechecking with the thought process that assumptions always and always supports conclusion. Remember this. I'm not rechecking that I've negated the answer choices, I have weakened my conclusion. No, you have negated answer choices and the conclusion has been weakened. Now this is the answer that you have got. I'm trying to say you recheck it. Recheck it is how? First read facts, then read assumptions, then read conclusion and see it is falling into same thing. Yes or no? Now come down over here. Now let me read. Though predictions vary, many global warming experts believe that average global temperature will rise between 3 to 8 degrees Fahrenheit during the next century. Now, next new development in the next century. Tell me, is it 100% within the scope? Yes or no, Malvika?
Yes. Okay.
Because
Got
see
it.
here, though prediction vary, many global warming experts believe average global temperature will rise between 3 to 8 degrees Fahrenheit during the next century. New developments in the next century will not divert rising sea from the world coastal city. And because it will not divert rising sea from the world coastal city, and therefore such an increase would cause alarming rise in the sea level, displacing millions of people by destroying major population center along the world coastal lines. Anyone, any problem now? Saket, is this very clear?
Yes, yes.
Ashma, Jagan, Malvika, Mridul,
Yes.
It is
Rishika,
clear.
any problem here? Perfect. Now, Tara, do you want to know the pre-thinking also, or we can move on?
We can move on.
You want to know pre-thinking as well? Check here now. Now I'm coming down to simple pre-thinking logic, guys. What is pre-thinking? Pre-thinking is nothing but the answer choice that is given to you. Now, for pre-thinking, you have to just understand one thing. What I have told you, assumptions are always in support of a conclusion. Author has concluded what? That such an increase would cause alarming rise in the sea level, displacing millions of people by destroying major population center. Now, this is a true conclusion that author has made. Now, if author is trying to conclude this, that such an increase would cause alarming rise in the sea level, displacing millions of people, author might have 100% taken into consideration that there is going to be no due development in the next century, which will not divert rising sea from the world coastal line. And because there is no development that is going to happen in the near future, and that's the reason author has concluded that such an increase would cause alarming rise in the sea level, displacing millions of people by destroying major population center along the world coastline. Am I making sense? Yes or no? Is this clear, Abhishek? Jagan, Saket, any problem? Sanjana,
No,
any problem,
no, it
Sanjana?
is clear.
It's clear.
Perfect. Let's do one or two more questions so that you understand it very well, because I wanted to discuss all these questions once you are done with yourself. Now, on traditional means it is combustion. Now, this is an easy question, guys. But if you wanna do, you can do. Let's see exactly what is your understanding with option number 3. Very easy question, but can be very tricky if you do not understand the argument. Tara, your video is on. Try question number 3, please. It's a very simple question, but if you don't understand, you will go mad for sure. Take 3 to 4 minutes, not more than that. Tell me the answer. It should not be so late for this question. Tell. Put up your answers, please. Be not sure, but not so sure in this. Okay, Abhishek? Chandrasekhar B. Think once again, Chandrasekhar, please. Think. B is wrong, Abhishek. Chandrasekhar. Because B has got nothing to do with the answer, Chandrasekhar. Please please take a minute and then again we'll discuss. When I tell you the answer, you will discuss with me a lot for no reason, but trust me, that is the answer. I'm telling you right now. This is the question also where there's a humongous discussion that happens. C, Tara. Okay. Anyone else? Mark up your answer. Sanjana, C. So please understand, should I start discussion? Or you have something, someone of you want to answer, please answer fast now, within 10 seconds answer. Or else I'm starting. Dude, I love critical reasoning, to be very frank. If I don't get to solve critical reasoning questions, I literally go mad. Mad in the sense I keep reading argument 100 times. For a lot of argument, it has happened with me. I'm very obsessed with CR part for sure. You should not be frustrated with this. What is your question? The claim of utility company assumes which of the following? Now, what is the claim of utility company? Utility company claims that they will be able to provide a stable source of supplies to all their clients. And I'll also teach you guys how should you play around with the words in critical reasoning. That's something which is very important. No doubt, until you don't have a complete understanding of the meanings of sentence as to why something is wrong, with a very valid reasoning, playing around with the words will become tough. But I'll try my best to clear it. So what is my claim? What is the claim of utility company? That they'll be able to provide a stable source of energy to all their clients. And what energy are they talking about? If you can let me know. What energy are they talking about here? Are they talking about wind and solar power, or do you think something else? Anyone who feel that it is talking about some other energy over here? Please tell. Can I tell you this claim itself is the main conclusion of the argument, or you would disagree with me on this part? If you disagree, please tell. Guys, speak. It is very hard to teach in this silent environment. That to critical reasoning. Can you imagine? Math, I can keep teaching you, be silent, none of anyone's issues at all. But in CR, if you be so silent, it's gone case. Tell me one thing over here. Don't you feel that claim is the main conclusion of the argument, or you feel something else is the conclusion? If you feel something else is the conclusion, please tell me. Please tell. So it says that utility company claim that they'll be able to provide a stable source of energy. Whether you understand this is a conclusion or you don't understand this is a conclusion, that also doesn't matter, because question is very clear. The claim of utility company assumes which of the following? Agreed? Now, what is the claim of company? That they'll be able to provide a stable source of energy to all the clients. And what energy they are talking about? They are talking about wind and solar power. So if you know this, Chandrasekhar, then it's a 2-second job to mark answer C. Now imagine if I say weather pattern are not consistent and not predictable, then how will you be able to provide a stable source of energy to all their clients? Because we are talking about wind and solar power. The point is, Chandrasekhar, I can eliminate B and E just with one reasoning, that we are not talking in this. The claim is not talking about non-renewable resources at all. The claim is only talking about renewable resources. So I should not be even bothered about oil, gas, coal and all. Absolutely no. Because whatever next you read, as one can easily see, these sources will be less risky for the utilities than non-renewable sources such as gas, oil. These are all duplicate information that is given to you. So if you read the critical reasoning concept book, they will tell you a lot of stuff, that there are duplicate facts that they are given to you. There are some sort of a deceiving facts that is given to you in the argument. All these things are fine. But our first job is to ensure that we know conclusion well. And if you know conclusion well, rest everything in the argument is a fact for you. Kahani khatam. Let it be duplicate fact, let it be deceiving fact. That doesn't matter at all. So if I say utility company claims that they'll be able to provide a stable source of energy, and if I'm saying you weather patterns are not consistent and not predictable, and what energy they are talking about? Wind and solar power. Now imagine in London, if you go and put a solar plant, then people will call you mad. because London hardly 2 or 3 months sun raises. That's it. For 9 to 8 to 9 months, there is no sunlight in London at all. It's a very close, it's a very lethargic weather that you can ever say. Just imagine in your city, if you don't have 3 days sunlight, you will go mad about it. In Bangalore, it happens that there are 10 days when there is no sunlight at all. In terms of November, December, not now. Right now, there is too much of it in Bangalore. So in London, if you go and put a solar plant, you are going to get nothing out of it. So point is, if weather patterns are not consistent and not predictable, my claim is directly being challenged. Straight away. Claim says what? They are able to provide a stable source of supplies to all their client. But when I say weather patterns are not consistent, not predictable, my claim is straightforward being challenged. So this is my answer, straightforward. Now let's come down to other answers also. Option number A says what? Public will embrace the development of wind and solar power. Let me negate this. Let's say public will not embrace the development of wind and solar power. Do you think it has got anything to do with the claim? Claim says what? 1 second. Claim says that they'll be able to provide a stable source of energy to all their clients. They are only bothered about their clients. Please understand. They are not bothered whether public embraces the development of wind and solar power or public don't embrace the development. How does it matter to them? They have their own client. They want their client to be very, very in a safe position. So they are only bothered about their client. It does not matter whether they will embrace the development, whether the general public embraces the development or does not embrace the development. It makes no sense to the claim at all. So absolutely, even remotely, it is not connected with the claim. Now let's come down to D. The necessary technology for conversion to wind and solar power is not more expensive. Tell me anyone, how did you reject answer D? Please pick it up, guys. Time and again I'm saying. Okay, fine. This class you are not speaking. It's okay you don't speak because you have not done all these questions. You are doing it right at this point of right with me. But from next class, please speak it out. Tell me why is D? Why? How can you reject D as answer? Anyone?
The cost of it doesn't affect the supply.
Doesn't
They are-
affect the supply. Okay.
Yeah, if they are claiming, then they don't care about the price.
But can't I say, Rishika, this is straight away trying to challenge the fact. Fact says what? This
But they
source
don't-
says,
But
see here,
it's not
this-
mentioned anywhere about the expense.
see here. What does this says? How, Abhishek, it's negation? It says what here, Rishika, these sources requires
Yeah.
initial capital investment. Matlab, there is a more investment, right? And
Yeah,
when you are
but the
saying that it is,
operating cost is not high. So
that's okay. But when
make-
that is absolutely fine. Operating cost is not high, but operation comes into picture only when you have already invested in this. No.
Mhm, yeah.
So what is this option trying to say? The necessary technology for conversion to wind and solar power is not more expensive. This is straight away trying to challenge my fact that this require initial capital investment. But imagine this is something that then come to your head. It didn't come to your head that it is trying to challenge the fact. Sometime it might happen. If you do not practice right now slowly for next 50 CR passages for assumptions, these are the things that will happen in the future for sure. But imagine this is a place where you don't realize that it is trying to challenge the fact. Now let's negate and see what could be a way to eliminate this. It says the necessary technology for conversion to wind and solar power is more expensive than the technology needed to create energy through combustion. Now let it be more. Now just with one word, what is the claim? The utility company claim is that they will be able to provide a stable source of energy to their clients. Now here you can tell me the necessary technology for conversion to wind and solar power is more expensive than the technology needed to create through energy through combustion and all. Now if it is expensive, what will happen? People will not buy them or something. All these things. The inference. What is the inference that I can draw from this statement? That because this is expensive, people might not. That's what its negation is challenging the theme. No, it's not challenging the theme. That's the reason. Abhishek, check here. I marked there. Please check here. Now, if I say, what is the inference that you can draw by reading this statement? Anyone? That necessary technology for conversion to wind and solar power is more expensive. Now, the inference that you can draw, because it is more expensive, people will not take them, this, them, that, them. But the point is ki the company claims is that they are only bothered about their client. It does not matter to them at all whether it is expensive for you or cheap for you. If you are their client, they are bothered about you. The rest, they don't care about it at all because it's very clearly given to you in the claim. So wordings are 100% important, guys. And option number B and E, we don't have to think a lot. Why? Because we are talking about renewable resource, and option number B and E is telling about non-renewable resource. Okay, so C is the right answer. Now, one last question, and I'll stop because I think it's already getting more for you all. But if you don't do the work and come to the class, it will be like this only. So from next class, you have to do work. You have to work before you come for the class. I'll explain you the entire homework very properly. But question number 4 is a classic question, I'll tell you. It's a beautiful question. There is a good amount of learning that you can take for weekend also. But let it be whatever it is. Can we do this question? Take 3 to 4 minutes. You can take 5 minutes for this question. It's a pretty beautiful argument. Will revolve your brain completely. Please try. Sajina A. What's Sajina? So quickly. Good. Very good. Yoshika A. Okay. All of you have gotten the answer. Good. I'll ask the reasoning for sure. Should I solve? Please, 1 minute, mark all of you mark your answers, please. Anyone else? Answers, please. Chandrasekhar, mark your answer. Saket, answers. Ashma, answer, please. Malvika, your answer. Check here. I'm doing it now. See you. So it says that in 1992, outlaw fishing boats began illegally harvesting lobsters from the territorial water of country of Belupia. In 1992, imagine. This is 1992. This is before 1992. So when I say this, in 1992, outlaw fishing boat, it means illegal boats, same as illegal boats. In 1992, illegal boats began illegally harvesting lobsters from territorial water of country of Belupia. What does this mean? What is the inference that you can draw from here? That before 1992, there were only legal boats. Can I say yes or no? So you have to draw this inference, guys, because what they are trying to say you, in 1992, illegal boats began illegally harvesting lobsters. In 1992, it began. So what is the inference that I can draw from there? That before 1992, there were only legal boats. Am I right? Yes or no? Tara, Malvika. So what happens in 1992? That legal boat were already there, but illegal boat came into picture. This is what the first line of an argument is trying to say you. That in 1992, illegal boats began illegally harvesting lobsters from the territorial water of country of Belupia. It means before 1992, there were only legal boats. Now it says the annual tonnage of the lobsters legally harvested in Belupia water began declining. Now they are saying that once illegal boat came into 1992, annual tonnage of lobsters harvest began declining. In 1996, despite there being no reductions in the level of legal lobster fishing activity, the local catch was 9,000 ton below pre-1992 level. Local catch was 9,000. So what happened that in 1996, the legal lobsters catch was, so see here, let's say before 1992, the legal lobsters caught 100,000 tons of lobsters. Now in 1992, they are telling illegal boat has come into picture. Now when illegal boat has come into picture, the legal catch that was 100,000 ton has decreased by 9,000 tons. So now legal has become 91,000. I'm just giving you an example, that's all. Legal has become 91,000 and illegal is how much? 9,000. This is what they are concluding, that the remaining 9,000 lobsters were caught by illegal boats. See here. It says in 1996, despite there being no reductions in the level of legal lobster fishing activity, the local catch was 9,000 ton below pre-1992 level. It is therefore highly likely that outlaw fishing boat, that is illegal boat, harvested 9,000 tons of lobsters illegally that year. So they are trying to say it is highly likely that illegal boat harvested 9,000 tons of lobsters. Now, if I negate statement number 1, what statement number 1 is trying to say, you please guys understand it very well, very well. It's extremely important in terms of how we are trying to weaken the, how we are trying to challenge the conclusion after negating the fact, after negating the answer choices. So if I negate statement number 1, compared to 1992 label, the population of catchable lobsters in Bulukian water had sharply declined by 1996. So tell me, how are you trying to weaken the conclusion? Anyone? Rishika, you have marked answer number A. How did you weaken this? How this statement after negating is weakening my conclusion? Please tell me. All of you who has marked answer A.
Lobsters are declining, then how can we say that 9,000 is a illegal one? We cannot
Absolutely.
compare it.
So see here, guys, how weakening, how you need to weaken the statements. There's a huge study for that also, but we'll go and study it in strength and weaken only. So imagine A causes B can be actually weakened by some other reason C causes B. It can also be weakened by B causes A, and it can also be weakened by A and C causes B. All these three are weakeners. Please understand. All these three are weakeners. So when I say you that let's say Rishika is a good girl, she has got into Harvard. If this is a argument that I'm making, that Rishika is a good girl, she would get into Harvard. It can be weakened by saying that Risika is a gold medalist and a math Olympiad champion, and that's the reason she will get into Harvard. So please understand, this is not trying to strengthen your argument. Be very sure about it. But we'll come down to this later. Don't worry at all. Let's look into this reasoning that if there's a reasoning given to you A causes B, it can be weakened by C causes B. Now, what is given to you over here? That before 1992, there were 100,000 tons of lobsters were caught by legal boats. Now they're telling in 1992, illegal boat has come into picture. Now the last result they are giving that after illegal boat came into picture in 1996, what happened? Legal catch was decreased by 9,000 tons. So legal catch was 91,000 ton, illegal boat caught 9,000 ton. Now they are telling you, if I negate this statement, see here, compared to 1992 label, the population of catchable lobsters in Billiken territorial water had sharply declined. So this is trying to say you, statement number 1, if I negate, it is trying to say you that this 100,000 ton of lobsters has only declined to 91,000 ton. So to say that illegal boat caught 9,000 ton is being weakened. If you negate statement number 1, what is happening? This 100,000 tons of lobster has itself declined to 91,000 ton. So to say that illegal boat caught 9,000 ton is being weakened. It's not that illegal boat caught 9,000 ton of lobster. No. If I negate statement number 1, I'm getting a logic that this 100,000 itself has become 91,000 ton. So that's a very classy answer. Anyone who has any problem in understanding as to how it is weakening the conclusion, guys, please understand the question that I'm discussing with you in the class, whether it be of any topic, let it be assumptions, let it be evaluate, let it be strengthen, weaken, all the questions are very thoughtful, where you can understand the argument very well. I have chosen it very wisely. You can understand argument very well, but it is not that easy as it seems to be. If you do all these questions very well, I promise assumptions, easy questions can be done within seconds. But there is no point me doing some easy questions and making you very happy that you are able to do the questions. No point at all. And that's the reason I have taken all the argument where the arguments are pretty simple to understand, but still it's a very, very thoughtful question. It is not simple question given to you. All these questions you go and check in Google in GMAT Club would be of a level 700, 800. But it's not about label and all. It's all about how beautifully you understand the logics behind it. That's it. I'm not doing more questions today. Don't worry at all. But tell me, if I negate statement number 1, is conclusion being weakened? Anyone who didn't follow it up, anyone who didn't understand, please tell me. Because if you don't tell me, I won't understand it at all. Abhishek, is this clear to you? Ashma, any problem here? Chandrasekhar, any problem? Jagan?
Yeah.
Anyone who didn't follow, please tell me. I'll clear it because it says, conclusion says that 9,000 tons were taken by illegal boats. But when I negate the answer choices, what I'm getting that this 100,000 ton is only reduced to 91,000 tons. So how can I say 9,000 ton is taken by illegal boat? Straight away I'm trying to challenge the conclusion. Now, once you have marked this answer, then your job is pretty simple. You have to 100% check what I'm telling you for next 50 assumptions questions for sure. Because these are the checks that ensures that there is a beautiful concepts of assumptions set in your head. Now you go and solve anything, whatever you want. So imagine now if I should read fact, and then I read the assumptions, and then I read the conclusion. This should make a complete sense to you. It should fall into a same sync exactly eventually. Now see here, I'm reading it. Soon after, the annual tonnage of lobsters legally harvested in Billiken water began declining. In 1996, despite there being no reductions in the level of legal lobster fishing activity, the local catch was 9,000 ton below pre-1992 level. Now, compared to 1992 level, the population of catchable lobsters in Billiken water had not sharply declined by 1996, and therefore, it is highly likely that illegal boats harvested 9,000 tons of lobsters legally last year. So when you are so confident about your answer, you can leave all the 3 options and move on. Just mark the answer and move on. When you are doing in home, you should 100% look for why other answers are wrong for sure. I hope it's very clear. Now come down to option number B. It says the average annual lobsters catch in tons. Whatever, you don't have to read this or else your entire reading flow will break. The average annual lobsters catch of an outlaw fishing boat has increased steadily since 1992. So it says the average annual the average annual lobster catch of an outlaw fishing boat, matlab illegal boat, has not increased steadily since 1992. What do you mean by not increased steadily? Steady again is a undefined, unquantifiable word. So if I say it's, first of all, try and understand how is this related to conclusion before we go and discuss this statement in detail. This statement is trying to say, this option is trying to say me the average annual lobster catch of an illegal boat has not increased steadily since 1992. So has not increased steadily since 1992. How is it weakening my conclusion saying that illegal boats caught 9,000 ton? Do you think it is in any way trying to weaken my conclusion? It has not increased steadily means what? Steady means what? Like imagine in 1992, let's say this is 1992, this is 1993, this is 1994, this is 95, this is 96. So it has not increased steadily. It means what? It could be 1 here, it could be 1,000 here, it could be 10 here, it could be 2,000 over here. So not steady means it could have increased in a very random way. But the point is it has got nothing to do with my conclusion, first of all. But imagine it has increased steadily. Even if it has increased steadily, let's say, and now I'm not negating it. I'm simply reading this. I'm playing around with this option. That's all. With after negation, without negation. So it says that imagine if I'm not trying to negate it, this option is trying to say average annual lobster catch of an illegal boat has increased steadily. So if it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, this is a steady increase. It is 1, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. This is a steady increase. It is 100, 200, 300, 400, 500. This is a steady increase. So what steady increase we are talking about? It is an unquantifiable word. I don't know. I have more money than you. You might have 1 rupees. I may have 2 rupees. I have more money than you. I may have 10 rupees. I have more money than you. I may have 1,000 rupees. I have more money than you. I may have 1 lakh rupees. I have more money than you. I may have 1 CR rupees. I have more money. So these are all non-quantifiable words. You have to be very careful when you are reading all these words. And the point is that this option has got in any way no connection with our conclusion. So nothing to bother about. I was just going through it, what all you can think after reading the statement, and you should think. So please don't rush it up when you are doing CR now. Do not rush it up for next 1 month. Just go slow. C says illegal boats do not harvest more lobsters than do licensed. Again, I'm not trying to compare here. It is the contention of the passage or this argument is not compare that illegal boat harvest more lobsters or legal boat harvest more lobsters. I don't have to even negate this. I can straight away say this is out of scope answer, not absolutely related to the contention of the argument. He says what the annual legal lobsters harvest in Biloke in 1996 was significantly less than 9,000. If I negate it, annual legal lobster harvest in Biloke in 1996 was significantly less than 9,000. How, with what reasoning can I eliminate this option in 2 seconds? Anyone? Tell me a reason to eliminate this options. A simple reason why you eliminate this. Why should we eliminate this option? Is there any statistical data given to you? What was the legal catch and illegal catch? Is there any statistical data given? Tell. What was the legal catch? This is what I've assumed. This is all my assumptions to make you understand that let's say before 1992 legal catch was 100,000 ton. Now illegal boat has come into picture. So the catch has decreased by 9,000 tons. So I've written this is 91,000 ton. But please understand this is purely my own assumptions to take number. There is no statistical data given to you over here that what was a legal catch. So this is gone. Why should I even think about it? E says what? A significant proportion of Belokia's operators of licensed lobster fishing boats went out of business. Check over here. There has been no reductions in the level of legal lobster fishing activity. What do you mean by this? Don't you feel this option is trying to challenge the fact? Is it trying to challenge our fact? Yes or no? It is, right? So this answer is wrong, guys. You have option number A as your answer. Am I right? Tell. Anyone, any problem with this question? Please pick it up. All clear? 100%. So guys, I'll stop doing questions now because you people have not done it. There is no point discussing questions all alone. So the reason why I'm asking you to do all these questions by yourself. So what I'll just tell you the homework that has to be done. So there are more, how many more questions of assumptions? 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there are 5 more questions of assumptions that you will do it. And I'll also send you, because in next class, we can't discuss just these 5 questions for sure. We'll also discuss evaluate. I'll also send you the evaluate email today just after the class. Wait for my email at least 1 hour. Give me 1 to 2 hours because I have to attach the video and send it to you. I'll send you by today night for sure, max to max tomorrow morning. But I personally, I ensure that I send you the mails at night. Max to max, it can happen tomorrow morning. But please understand what is the homework very clearly now. Do all the remaining 5 questions. The reason I'm stopping it right now is because I strongly believe, you know what, till you will not be able to discuss with me in the class till you play around with this question by yourself. You do wrong. You think you have a wrong thought process, right thought process. That doesn't matter at all. But have some sort of your own thought process for sure. 100%. So all I want that practice all these questions by yourself. So what I can do in the next class that I will not be giving you a lot of time to read the question and do it in the class. All I want that these are the questions that you attempt for yourself. And now there were 23 pages of theory for assumptions. Please be very sure. For evaluate, there are just 2 or 3 pages of theory. Do not worry at all. Now, the theory reading will decrease for sure. In assumptions, it's a very important topic, and why it is important, I'll tell you later. I'll tell you very clearly why assumptions and evaluate are so important topic. So for evaluate, there is only 2 pages of theory. Okay. You have to read those 2 pages, and I'll send you the handout that you should try and do. And when you are doing the handout, you don't worry about that you are doing it right or wrong. You just put up your best thought process. And initially, if you want to really get good in CR, and considering a lot of us might be a non-reader. In fact, I consider myself as a non-reader. To be very frank, I'll tell you. A lot of us might be a non-reader. So initially, to build up your concept in CR, you can also do writing work and all. If at all there are some argument which makes you completely mad, leave that argument at that moment of time. But come back to that again either next day or after 2-3 hours, and make a very clear-cut statement. These are the facts. These are the conclusion. Now this is fact, this is conclusion, my assumptions, because your assumptions has to always support conclusion, always and always. So you check from every perspective that if I negate this, how is it impacting my conclusion? So have a proper thought process, and please ensure if at all you feel a bit overwhelmed by it, by CR, I would suggest that start writing a bit on your notebook. If you write, things will be 100% taken into consideration. But all I want that do not practice do not study for the sake of doing it, please. It should not happen that next Sunday we have a class. So you sit on Friday and Saturday, and just for the sake you have completed all these things. No, you just ensure that. So guys, I expect that 2 hours of study, you will be doing it on a daily basis, 100%. However busy you are, it doesn't matter at all, because if this is something that you can't give, it will be a problem for sure. You be how brilliant you are, it doesn't matter at all. But I have seen people who are even working for 15 hours, 16 hours, despite that giving 2 hours to study. In case if you are seriously looking to crack this exam for sure. Ideal time is 4 hours on a very frank note. But even if you get 3 hours, it's a very, very good thing to do it. But imagine I'm making a plan with the least aspect that you have 2 hours to study. 1 hour you can dedicate to quant, 1 hour you dedicate to verbal. And in 1 hour verbal, please understand, be extremely, if you solve it in the way you are expected to solve it, in irrespective of whether you understand this argument or not, you will feel very entertained if you start writing stuff and all. Just don't be mad that you have got a wrong answer. You will get a wrong answer. Literature is not something that it can be dramatically changed in just 1 day, 2 day, 3 day. No, it'll take 1 month for sure. But I would 100% expect from today onwards, 1 hour, you have to minimum solve 5 questions for sure, guys. In 1 hour, even if you solve 3 questions, I'm fine with it. But 1 hour of CR, you have to do it on a daily basis, because verbal is all about practice. I have seen a nice English literature guys, a ferocious reader who have ended up scoring very less in verbal just because they had not practiced. They felt They took everything for granted. So verbal is one. And now please understand, SC as a topic is gone. This was very daunting topic. You have no idea how daunting was SC. It used to take 1.5 months to ensure that things are everyone is well with sentence correction. But now that chapter is not there. So just 1 hour I'm asking you on a daily basis and solve minimum 3 or 4 questions. कोई भी problem हो, any problem, just WhatsApp me. All of you have my number, I think. All of you have my number. You can straight away WhatsApp me, but please ensure if this is something that you are not doing, you 1 hour on a daily basis for the verbal, you are not justifying your verbal practice for sure. Be very sure. And when you are spending so much of money, when you're planning to go to a good college, so please, 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 you will have to score. And remember, if you do not practice verbal on a daily basis, it is not possible to score. You be how big reader you are, it doesn't matter at all. You, if at all it is possible in 1 hour, you can do 5 questions or you can do 3 questions. It doesn't matter at all. It'll be, Tara, it'll be there in the email that I sent you. My numbers will be there in the, I think all of you have my number, right? Tara, you might not be having. But I'll send you a mail, Tara. It'll be there in the subject line for sure. So please ensure 1 hour of CR practice you will do. So what I'm saying you 5 questions of assumptions, because I wanted to send you the extra assumptions question, but there is no point till I discuss all these questions with you. So in the next class, once I finish assumptions, I'll send you extra questions of assumptions, some 100 questions. You have to, and I'll tell you exactly how should you be doing it. You have to do it at a very slow pace, exactly in the way I'll ask you to do. But let me do it in the next week. So next week, what I'm trying to say you, these are the 5 remaining questions of assumptions. All of you have the handout. If you don't have, straight away call me, get in touch with me. And in the mail today, I'll also send you evaluate question. So I'll just show the mail to you so that thing, but I'll show it to you. I'll also send you the evaluate question. Exactly the same way. You first read evaluate from CR concept book. It's just 2 pages of theory. And there are 5 questions of assumption. So even I expect you don't not to take more than 1 day for sure. In 1 day, finish all these questions, 1 or 2 days, and then concentrate on evaluate. I'll send you assumptions questions, but I don't want to send right now because we have not done. And there are a lot of things that needs to be discussed before I give you a handout and you start solving it. You will literally go mad out of it. I don't want you to get overwhelmed at all. I want that you be in a good pace with me. I promise it will be taken care of. So in next class, you have to read evaluate, do all the questions of evaluate, do all the remaining questions of assumptions, and please do it slowly. Do not do it for the sake of doing it. Do just finish it off before 1 hour, come to the class. Those are the things that makes no sense at all. Agreed? So I'm done for today. I'm not solving more questions because you people have not done and come. Anything else you want me to explain, please tell me, or else we'll close the session for today. Abhishek, Chandrasekhar, Jagan, Malvika, Pranav, Rishika, Saket, Sanjana. Anything you want to clear, Sapna? Any questions? No, right? Thank you. Even I'm tired, dude. I'm speaking from morning. Trust me. From 10 o'clock, I'm okay. I'm speaking.
Thank you, Rahul.
When I asked any
Thank you.
problem, I actually
Thank
think
you.
from within that there should be no problem at all. Chalo, bye. Take care, man. Bye-bye. See you.
Bye.
Good night.
Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Good night.